It's Monday, the 26th of June, 2023. Welcome to the Fast Five by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, 5 stories in 5 minutes. Let's jump into story number 1. It's a big one. The Australian economy is facing a recession with the ongoing hikes in interest rates and the potential for more hikes likely to stop the economy from growing.
That's according to several market economists who are now calling on the Reserve Bank to stop lifting rates. One of the most vocal is AMP Shane Oliver, who says the risk of recession in Australia is now very high. He says the Reserve Bank has already done enough to slow the economy and bring inflation back to target, and we are seeing clear evidence of slowing demand in many ways. Retail sales, building approvals, slowing plans for growth in business investment, slowing economic growth, and early indications of a slowing in the jobs market. Westpac's Bill Evans expects more rate hikes, in fact, 2 more rate hikes because of the resilience of the labour market. He's not quite forecasting a recession, but he says there's a high degree of uncertainty in that forecast. Commonwealth Bank's Gareth Aird puts a chance of recession at about 50%. National Australia Bank's Alan Oster, he's warned of 2 more rate rises and a heavy hit on the economy.
So when then is this recession likely to hit then, Sean?
It's a great question. Economics is not an exact science and recessions sometimes happen in hindsight. The most recent economic growth figures suggest there was a per capita contraction in the March quarter. If that happens this quarter, that would make 2 in a row. That would be classed as a per capita recession. That's actually growth per person. Broadly, though, economists think people will truly feel the recession in the second half of this year and into 2024, so much so that some reckon interest rates could start falling next year.
All right, on to story number 2 now, and a bit of good news, I suppose, for long-suffering crypto investors, Sean. Bitcoin has had one of its strongest weeks of the year. What's going on?
Well, there's been plenty of speculation that proposed exchange-traded funds heralds a whole new source of demand for the largest digital asset. So the token was up more than 25% last week. It's nearly doubled so far this year. Some of the smaller coins like XRP, Cardano and Solana, they've also done better. One of the world's biggest fund managers, BlackRock, last week filed with the US Securities and Exchange Commission to set up an ETF. Other organizations have done something similar, hence a lot more confidence about cryptos just right now, and Bitcoin's done very well.
Story number 3, the PwC saga has been going on for a long time. It's a big tax scandal, Sean, and big development now with the global leaders of PwC taking control of the Australian business, pushing aside the local CEO who's been acting in the position for just 7 weeks.
Yes, in a demonstration of how worried the global partnership is about what's happened here in Australia, a Singaporean-based manager will take the reins locally. The firm's global chair, Bob Moritz, said PwC Australia had failed to meet the network's code of conduct and uphold the network's professional standards and value under the previous leadership. He also said its past actions are not representative of the work and behaviours of PwC around the world. He said he was deeply sorry to clients, broader stakeholders and people. He said the local business has significant work to do. He's confident the steps they're taking with the network support will turn things around. It just shows how worried the global partnership is about it. Also, over the weekend, there were reports from the Financial Review that the local PwC is planning to sell off its government consulting arm to private equity investor Allegro Funds for just $1. That's the part of the business where all these problems stemmed from. The firm's also forcing dozens of partners into retirement amid a retreat to core auditing, management consulting and tax compliance work.
Okay, on to story number 4 and the big news on the global stage, Sean. Russian leader Vladimir Putin's hold on his country has been badly damaged by the weekend's aborted coup against him, with the path ahead over the next few months very uncertain.
The head of the Wagner Group, Yevgeny Prigozhin, said he had called off the advance of troops on the Russian capital to avoid bloodshed. Fighters had reached about 120 miles of Moscow, with the capital's mayor telling Russian residents to remain at home. He gave them a day off, in fact. Back on Friday, Prigozhin called for an uprising against military leaders. He said he had 25,000 fighters ready to battle the Russian army and called on regular Russian troops, including the National Guard, to join his coup attempt. A truce was apparently brokered by the Belarusian president. Putin called it treason, but he's now allowed Prigozhin to be exiled to Belarus as part of that truce. The general consensus seems to be that the coup has demonstrated the deep cracks within Russian politics and the military, and next to the failed invasion of Ukraine, Putin's position has been severely weakened.
All right, Sean, last one. Story number 5. For a few days now, people have been talking about the most livable cities, which is the ranking that were released. It had Vienna at number 1, Copenhagen, whatever you prefer, coming in at number 2, and then Sydney and Melbourne at 3 and 4. But what about the other end? What about the least livable cities?
Very good question. So the Economist Intelligence Unit measure, like number 5 was Zurich, that Calgary in Canada was 6, then Geneva, Toronto, Osaka, and Auckland at number 10. It looks at stability, healthcare, culture and environment, education and infrastructure. Some of the really big losers were British cities of Edinburgh, Manchester and London, so too Los Angeles and San Diego. But your question was the very, very bottom end. Coming in last at number 73 is Damascus, the capital of Syria. 172 was Tripoli, 171 was Algiers. Port Moresby in Papua New Guinea was 168. All these cities were worse than Kiev in the Ukraine. It came in at 164.
All right, there we go. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Monday, the 26th of June, 2023. Remember to hit follow on the podcast. And if 5 minutes isn't enough, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed wherever you listen to podcasts. And that also comes with an interview, today's interview, great one for investors, all about what is happening at the moment in tech stocks. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.